someone like myself who was born and raised in the United States, been working, you know, you get those little things from Social Security, tells you the first dollar you earned, you know. So you've been working since you're like 14 years old, and you have the built up Social Security thing, so you get the max. What about people who came here in their 40s, who were immigrants, who didn't enter into the Social Security system maybe till they were 45 or 50, and they retire and they're getting very little piece of the action, so to speak. I always say that, you know, it's a spiritual imperative in Judaism to do Tikkun Olam, or fixing the world. The world's a big place. I get these little pieces in front of me to fix, and if I can do my job in fixing them, and I can find other people to fix the other places, we can fix a whole bunch. Everyone knows I love Brooklyn, even though I live in the Bronx now. I was a kid around and had to take a 12-step program to be able to make the move. However, I grew up in a city housing project, and that means I grew up with all different kinds of folks, all different kinds of people. It allowed me to understand that each person brings a uniqueness with them, that my family and my way and my culture is not the only way. It's really this amalgam of it all that makes a place to live in. So that really was a profound impact on me.
You know, Brooklyn, New York, Coney Island Avenue actually has that formula for acquiring peace throughout the world. Right after 9/11, many of the news media came and they were starting to talk about, because there's a Muslim community and the Jewish community living side by side, oh, how many issues there might have been here. And there were no issues. And Rabbi Bob came in through the door and he just introduced himself, and we hit it off immediately. He's that type of person who will go that extra mile. He will go to that, you know, unknown, and he will work with the community members. One of the specific trips that we went, when we went to Israel, we went there, we explained to them how we're working together. There was a chief rabbi and a chief imam who really didn't talk to each other. When we went there, we explained to them how we were working together. I'm not a Palestinian. Bob is not an Israeli. Right? But we are of different faiths working together. We explained this to them. And at the end of that program, the rabbi and the imam, they actually shook hands. And the following year, they invited each other in their respective congregations to address their congregation, which would never have happened. In all the years that we were told, in Akko, that's where we went, this would not be possible. When we went back the next year, we were learning that they already had 6 coalitions and a mediation center. And they were working together, which was unbelievable. We were like, wow.
I think that Bob is someone who connects with people on an individual level and really figures out what people's strengths are and takes advantage of them. After September 11th, when so many people were, you know, fearful and concerned about what was happening and what might happen, I think that, you know, he was someone who was a voice of reason. He is trying to move an issue forward. He's not trying to move Rabbi Kaplan forward. And it's one of the reasons that I think that, you know, when you talk to the average person, sometimes they'll have no idea who Bob is, because he's not one of those people that's chasing headlines. Or when we've worked on racial justice issues, there are folks who show up after an attack or after, you know, a big issue's arrived, and they're going to be the person that needs to be in front of the camera. Bob's not one of those people, and he's there before, and he's there after the cameras have left. He's there after the press has left. And I think that people respect that, and I think that's the reason that they keep coming to the table. They're not worried that he's going to grandstand or that his organization is driven by making sure that they're the most popular kids on the block, or that they're going to get all the credit for the work that gets done. And I think that that's something that's extremely valuable, and it doesn't take place enough in social justice work.
Probably the first time I dealt with Bob was he put together a big conference at the Brooklyn Marriott. It's probably one of the first conferences I had been at what was a new hotel in Brooklyn. And Bob brought in probably 200 to 300 people. And he was able to bring in all of the healthcare providers, the hospitals in Brooklyn, into the audience. And to get the hospitals together on the same page like he did, was remarkable.
Through Bob's work, literally millions of people have been impacted, and they wouldn't even know that Bob Kaplan is the person who impacted upon them. But through the efforts that Bob is engaged in with the multiples of ethnic communities, close to 200 ethnic communities here in New York, the various coalitions around quality of life concerns, and the Youth Bridge program, and so much else, that yes, directly there's been an impact on hundreds upon hundreds of people, but in terms of the ultimate impact, I think it's impacted on New York. And I think that's attributable to Bob's exceptional skills.
If I was writing a statistical paper on the results and impacts, I put graphs and charts and organizations and how it started with one person, or maybe it was just a baby grant and now it's a large organization with many different facets to it, kind of like the Brooklyn Southern Health Coalition started as one little office and now it's so big and impacts giant populations. I think that's the impact that it has, is that when Bob thinks of an idea, be it at 4 o'clock in the morning, he wakes up and writes it down, or he's having a conversation with someone, the thoughts germinate into real effects in this world. You see, Rabbi Bob does what he does because he is who he is. And I don't think he'd actually have it any other way. He works from his core, he speaks from his core and from his heart. And when he gets angry or frustrated with the Jewish community or with what's going on in the world, it comes from a righteous place and a place of really wanting to connect and understand.
It needs to go beyond just myself. It needs to be others taking the lessons learned, making it their own, and creating new opportunities for others. And by inculcating it into their lives, creating new opportunities, new vistas, but mainly being part of a movement, part of a way of thinking that it will allow this world to be just a little bit better for everyone to live in. Before the nonprofit world, I was an operations manager, a salesman, a manager in the furniture business, selling people things. And when I came into this life, somebody said to me right in the beginning, they said, what skills do you bring? I said, well, if I can sell a couch to somebody, if I can convince someone this is a good table for them, and I really felt that I was trying to match the furniture with the people in any event, then I could really sell what this world is all about, what Judaism, what the Jewish people, our mission is about to young folks. And that's when I went into Hillel work.
Well, everybody should have a rabbi. So I have a rabbi, and I have an influential rabbi. Both of us being clergy. For me, I think we're moved by the same passion, and that is to manifest God in the lives of people. And that is the whole issue and concern about justice, which is a Christian tradition as well, it's stemming from the Judaic tradition. So this desire for justice, as Martin Luther King would say, that justice rolled down like a mighty flood, that it just rolled down. And I believe we are both rolling to help the community and to help those in need.
I would say that Bob is very centered in his belief in God. It's a conviction that he believed that what he is doing is correct. He believed that what he's doing is morally correct. He believed that what he's doing is really a God-given mission that he has to really carry it on this earth. Bob showed me how to collaborate with other individuals that's different from yourself. And he has really crafted the skill in working with diverse communities. And so I have learned from Bob, how do you take one central issue that affects all of us, how you bring people together at the table, and how you solve the problem. At the end of the day, if we're going to walk down the street and light is broken, my family and the other family, regardless of race, creed, or color, must walk that street. So for us, our job is now to make sure that we can fix that light together so that our family can walk in safety.
I had the opportunity with Bob and several other people from our health coalition to participate in an interfaith conference on health. And so we all went down to Atlanta, and we were an interfaith team. There were We had Christians, and whether it was different denominations within the Christian church. We had our rabbi, Bob, myself, who's Muslim, and we were an interfaith team. And so as we were interacting with the others who were there, it was pretty obvious that we were the only interfaith team. There were some moments of real discomfort for me, and I was asked with Bob to sort of start the day in prayer, and from my perspective, the Muslim perspective, and I actually said to Bob, I can't do this. This is not an audience I can speak in front of or feel comfortable with. And Bob walked me through the courage to do it, and better yet, he did it with me as my brother in faith, and it's Bob.
I was very lucky to find some people who were spiritual inspirers that I've met along the way. There's been those teachers that have come either in an instant or for long periods of time that sort of pointed me in a direction, and I've been relatively lucky in finding a way to connect my spiritual goals and my vocational goals as well. I just get up in the morning like anybody else, freak out a little bit, and then about the nature of the world and the nature of the work and the nature of the challenges in front of me, and then just keep slugging it out.
I think Rabbi Bob is an authentic, Jewish hero.
I'm going to say driven and committed.
Passionate and effective.
He's innovative, outgoing, and he's very dedicated to his cause.
Real change leader.
I would say Bob is a big teddy bear.
People person, creative genius.
A public theologian who is living out his ideal of what it means to be present in the community.
I'm just a human being. I'm still a work in progress.
Anything else that you'd like to add? I love Bob.
Well, I'm happy for the recognition that he is receiving, and I am thankful that our paths crossed, and I'm going to get to Israel one of these invited days, so please don't give up on me.
He never forgets who he is, where he came from. He never forgets that he's this white boy from the Jewish projects in Brooklyn, ever. And it's great because when he talks about food and when he gets really passionate, his Brooklyn accent comes popping out. But it's interesting because he never forgets, he never allows himself to forget or the audience forget that he came from somewhere.
I want to really thank Bob for being an inspiration in my life. And I think that he's doing tremendous work, and hopefully we can continue his legacy.
The right guy is being honored. So, congrats.
Great.
Mazel tov.
Thank you so much.
Okay.